This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is an animated sitcom. It's about a wacky family and their burger restaurant. We all know Bob's Burgers, but did you know that Bob's Burgers, the movie, is actually a murder mystery whodunit? I did not know that, but I got a bunch of recommendations in my comment section saying I need to try to solve the Bob's Burgers movie before the reveal. And that is what I'm going to do. If you are new to this channel, this is how it works. I am going to be watching the Bob's Burgers movie for the very first time. And throughout the movie, I am going to pause it, come in here, and talk about the different clues, suspects, and theories that I have for who I think did it. That way, at the end of this video, when we find out the big reveal, who did it, we can look back and we can see exactly how close or how far I was from getting it correct. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump in to the Bob's Burgers movie.
Ta-da! Fresh hot burgers, sexy burgers.
Len.
What? It's summer, and sex sells, baby!
Real quick, before we jump into the next part, I need to tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Having a website for your personal brand, business, or event is a must-have nowadays. And Squarespace's cutting-edge designs, SEO tools, and domains make it easier than ever. You can even start with Blueprint AI, Squarespace's AI-enhanced website builder, to get a fully custom website in just a few steps. Using basic information about your industry, goals, and personality to generate premium quality content and personalized design recommendations. And then once published, you can get discovered fast with the integrated Squarespace SEO tools. Every website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more. So you can show up more often on search engines and bring in more of your ideal customers. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/chasebridges to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Now let's jump back in to the Bob's Burgers movie.
Big things are coming for summer, Tina.
Take off those bulky jeans to be more aerodynamic. Oh, you're doing it already. Great.
Big things like that heat rash you get sometimes? Bigger.
All right, I have watched about the first 30 minutes of the Bob's Burgers movie. In fact, I hit pause right at 27 minutes, 58 seconds. That's just in case you're wanting to watch along while we're doing this video. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, I was beginning to get worried because we're 28 minutes into the movie and there hasn't been a lot of mystery. Now that being said, the very opening scene of the movie is two figures fighting and then someone gets shot. And we can't see who they are or where they're at, but like, it gives carnival vibes. So right away, you know, in the first 30 seconds of the movie, I'm like, perfect. This is a whodunit mystery. And then about 20 minutes goes by and we're just getting some classic Bob's Burgers shenanigans, not a lot of mystery to solve. So let's talk about what this movie has been about so far. The big plot of the movie at this point is that Bob has 7 days to get the money for his business loan, or else they're gonna start repossessing things from the kitchen. And Bob and Linda, which I'm going into this, I'm assuming everyone watching this video has seen Bob's Burgers, or at least heard of Bob's Burgers. It's like a big part of the cultural zeitgeist, you know, like Family Guy or The Simpsons, who I've also done videos on. This is Bob, he is the dad. This is Linda, she is the mom. This is Tina, Louise, and Jean, that is the children. And this is Teddy. No blood relation, I don't think. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Bob's Burgers. I think he just is like Bob's best friend and he hangs out all the time. Bob and Linda went to the bank to try to get an extension on their loan. The bank guy says no. This is the bank loan guy. I doubt he'll be important, but you never know. If I had a nickel for every time that I didn't have the killer up on the board because I was too lazy to print out the picture of every single character, I would have one, I think. Maybe two. I don't recall. So at this point, you know, 7 days to get the money to pay for their business loan stuff. Not too hard, right? Just sell a bunch of burgers. Wrong! It's extremely hard because a giant sinkhole has caved in directly in front of Bob's Burgers, the family-owned burger establishment that belongs to this family. So now it's really hard for anybody to get into the restaurant to buy burgers. That is okay because it is the 80th anniversary of the Wonder Wharf. The Wonder Wharf. Wonder Wharf. That is like the carnival / boardwalk type thing that is in this town. And so I think Teddy brings up the idea. He's like, hey, you should go sell burgers there, you know? And then I think Bob was like, I don't know, because it's the big, Octa Wharfiversary. But yeah, so that's kind of the main plot. But then the big mystery does kick in, and it all starts with Louise, who's wearing a super cool bunny ear hat that all the cool kids are wearing, I hear. Louise is on a journey of self-discovery. She wants to prove to herself and everyone around her that she is not a baby. She doesn't need these bunny ears, okay? And neither do I. So to prove to the kids at school that she is tough, she is going to venture into the giant sinkhole that is in front of her parents' burger restaurant. These ears are very difficult. Give me 1 second. There we go, baby. Now we strapped in. So Louise is going to go into the sinkhole. She's got her siblings, Jean and Tina, with her. She ends up chickening out, but it doesn't matter because then some of the sinkhole caves in some more, and so she falls into the sinkhole. And while she's down there in the sinkhole, she finds a dead body. This skeleton right here. She finds this skeleton buried in the ground. Now, we do find out that this skeleton that Louise has found in the sinkhole has a bullet lodged in its rib cage. And we also find out who this skeleton belongs to. The skeleton belongs to missing Wonder Wharf employee, Cotton Candy Dan. And because I am the greatest detective of all time, I am going to assume or deduct that that opening scene of the movie where we saw two people kind of fighting in a carnival place and then a gun goes off, I'm going to assume that Cotton Candy Dan, whose skeleton was found in the Bob's Burgers sinkhole, is who was shot at the Wonder Wharf. And because whoever was fighting with Cotton Candy Dan at the amusement park at the opening scene of this movie, we can assume that that person is the killer that we are searching for, which means we officially have kickstarted our mystery. We're looking to solve who killed Cotton Candy Dan. And what's even better is we already have a major suspect. And when I say we, I mean the movie has given us a major suspect. This is Mr. Fish Odor. Mr. Fish Odor is the owner of the Wonder Wharf, and he is also the landlord of Bob's Burgers building. I am aware that his last name is not Burger. Is it? Well, Mr. Fish Odor has been arrested for the murder of Cotton Candy Dan. It happened so quickly. Now, it is fair enough to assume that he would be the one who killed Cotton Candy Dan. He is the owner of the Wonder Wharf, which is where Cotton Candy Dan worked. He is also the owner of the property where the body was buried beneath the ground. However, the most damning piece of evidence against Mr. Fish Odor is when his brother, who is a moron, this is him, he is not an intelligent man. He leaks to the news accidentally that the bullet that was found lodged in the ribs of the skeleton of Cotton Candy Dan belongs to the gun that is owned by Mr. Fish Odor, his brother. He also tells the media that Mr. Fish Odor was heard yelling that night that I am going to kill you, Carney, and I am going to hide your body in a place where no one will find it. This is not looking good for Mr. Fish Odor. We've all got eyes. We can all see what's happening here. He reveals again on this dark, stormy night, he was found gambling with none other than Cotton Candy Dan. So that's a lot of evidence against one person. Pretty much open and shut case. Am I right? Let's just lock that in and this is it. Wrong? No, that's not how we do things here. Because guess what, boys and girls? I do not think Mr. Fish Odor is our killer. If episodes of Scooby-Doo have taught me anything, it's that the first suspect is never the actual murderer. There weren't any murderers in Scooby-Doo for the most part, but you know what I mean. The person who did it. I believe that Mr. Fish Odor is our very first big red herring. A red herring is a storytelling device that mystery stories use to help misdirect the audience from the actual killer. So while you're looking at this obvious suspect, back here in the background, we have the person who actually did it. So while we're all looking at Mr. Fishodor, whose gun belonged to the bullet and who owned the place where Cotton Candy Dan worked and was seen gambling with Cotton Candy Dan that very night where he threatened to kill him, we're overlooking an actual suspect, someone who could have actually done it. And you just know that your boy already has tons of theories and suspects. The easiest way for us to try and solve this mystery before the movie reveals it is to try to predict where all of the plot lines that we have been given so far are going to resolve. For example, let's take Louise's whole plot line about how she is trying to overcome the need for her bunny ears. She wants to prove to everyone that she is not a baby and that she doesn't need her bunny ears. So, logically, we can assume that by the end of the movie, that story arc is going to come to a conclusion. If she is wanting to prove to everyone that she is not a baby and that she is very daring and brave, then odds are she is going to do something very daring and brave at the end of this movie. Probably having to do with catching the killer. And when she does catch the killer, if she does, one of two things will happen. She will either maybe lose her bunny ears during the big mission, and she realizes that the bravery was inside of her the whole time and not in the ears. Or maybe the way that she catches the killer is by using the bunny ears, maybe tying them up or tripping them with them or something. That proves to her that having these bunny ears don't make her a baby. She can do really cool, brave things like catch a killer thanks to the bunny ears. Then we have Gene's plot line, right? His whole thing is that he's made this little instrument out of kitchen utensils, and it sounds terrible, but he loves it, and he keeps dreaming of performing with his band, which is made up of his friends and family, with this instrument for a giant crowd of people at the Wonder Wharf. So, we can deduce that by the end of this movie, he is going to do something, some sort of performance with his instrument that everyone thinks is stupid, and because of it, it's going to lead to something good or some sort of growth for him, right? So maybe he ends up going on stage at the Wonder Wharf after the killer is caught, and he performs with his instrument, and everyone actually loves it, and because of that, his family is able to sell a ton of burgers, saving the restaurant. And then we have Tina's arc. Tina's arc is all about Jimmy Jr. Jimmy Jr., if you haven't guessed, is the son of Jimmy Sr. Tina's whole thing is that she is trying to get the nerve to ask Jimmy Jr. to be her summer boyfriend. So, obviously one of two things is going to happen, right? She either asks him and he says yes, or she asks him and he says no. There's also the possibility that she will not ask him, but I don't think that's likely, right? Because that's her whole arc, is getting the bravery to ask him. Maybe she will get the bravery to ask Jimmy Jr. to be her summer boyfriend after she gets the bravery, she's on the adrenaline high of helping to catch the killer, right? And we don't know any of this for sure. We're just making educated guesses based on where the plot will probably go, right? Like the whole major plot line for Bob and Linda is they have to sell enough burgers in 7 days to get the money to pay off the loan. And considering the show, Bob's Burgers, in which this movie is spin off from, they need their burger restaurant for the next season of the show or the next episodes of the show, right? So odds are they're going to pull it off and they're going to save their restaurant. And that's just how storytelling works, and that's how mysteries work, right? Every setup needs a payoff. So the best way for us figuring out how to solve this mystery is we need to look at characters who have setups that have not been paid off. And to be completely honest, we haven't met that many characters outside of the main family cast, right? We have Bob, Linda, Tina, Louise, and Gene. I can guarantee you right now that none of these 5 is the killer. Other than them, we haven't met that many characters. Someone that we have met, though, is Mr. Fish Odor. We've also met Mr. Fish Odor's cousin, who is also his lawyer. And we have met Mr. Fish Odor's dumb brother. And we get this whole scene when we get introduced to all three of these characters in this movie, where Mr. Fish Odor is talking about how he was left the family business and fortune from his father. And that includes the Wonder Wharf and all of the property, including Bob's Burgers building. And at one point in this conversation, his dumb brother is like, well, Dad could have left it to me. And then he was like, yeah, that would have been hilarious. You know, making fun of how stupid his brother is. So what does that tell us? That means that we have a character who is underestimated and treated like a moron. So his arc could very well be that he is going to prove to everyone, including himself, that he is more than what they think. Maybe he comes up with the solution that proves that his brother is innocent. Or, the more likely option, we find out that the dumb, stupid brother who couldn't do anything is actually the evil mastermind who planned this entire thing, killed Cotton Candy Dan, and framed his brother. That way he gets the family fortune and all of the success that comes with it. He gets his brother in jail for life, maybe even the death penalty. I don't know Bob's Burgers characters' politics. I don't know if their mayor's executing people in the streets like the Hunger Games. Because let's not forget, his dumb brother is the one who accidentally slips to the media that his brother is the one who owned the gun that the bullet belonged to, is the one who was heard yelling that he was going to kill Cotton Candy Dan, and was gambling with Cotton Candy Dan that night that he died. But there is also this cousin who is the lawyer. Immediately, he comes across in this opening scene where we meet him as the kind of guy who would do anything to protect his cousin, but more importantly, his cousin and family fortune. I think that there is a very big theory that on the night that Mr. Fish Odor was gambling with Cotton Candy Dan, he got carried away and gambled away the Wonder Wharf. That would be why, we heard him yelling that he was so mad he's gonna kill that carny and bury him where no one's gonna find him. Because no one wins when they're gambling and is like, oh, I hate you. They're like, this is the greatest night of my life. So my theory here then is that he's so angry with Cotton Candy Dan after he just lost the Wonder Wharf, essentially gave Cotton Candy Dan the Wonder Wharf. He wants to kill Dan, but he doesn't actually. He goes away. That's when he calls his lawyer/cousin to fix it. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have a legal way out of it, so maybe he just decides to take matters into his own hands. Because if his dumb cousin, Mr. Fish Odor, gambled away the Wonder Wharf, that probably has a major impact on his pay, right? So now we have two really solid theories to play with. We have the lawyer trying to protect his client/cousin/family fortune, and we have the dumb brother trying to prove that he is an evil genius, frame his brother so that he gets the fortune. Now, I will say, there have been times in the past of my Can I Solve videos where I have fallen for the dumb guy is actually an evil genius trope. I always think that it's the evil genius, and it never is. And I could be making a big mistake here, but I do think that he could be an evil genius. I feel really good about it. We're only 30 minutes into this movie, and I'm assuming we'll meet some other suspects and some other characters. But for now, I have to lock in a character before we keep watching, and I am going to lock in Mr. Fish Odor's brother for who I think killed Cotton Candy Dan.
Just the gasp is great, thank you.
Like this?
I think we got it. That last one was good.
I regret to inform you that I have once again fallen for the dumb character is actually an evil genius theory. I had even pointed out how I have fallen for it before, and I did not learn my lesson. I have done videos trying to solve shows like Pretty Little Liars, Riverdale, Bridgerton, Twin Peaks, The Simpsons, Family Guy, and even the show Velma, and I have fallen for the dumb guy is actually an evil genius trope more than once. So what does that mean? It means that I have just watched another 30 minutes of the Bob's Burgers movie. In fact, I hit the pause button at exactly 1 hour. There's still about 40 minutes left of the movie, which means that we'll probably get the reveal in a little bit. I'll try to pause the movie if I can tell that the reveal is about to happen. If not, this is probably the last time that we'll get to lock in a guess before we get the big reveal. So what else have we learned? We learned that Louise believes that Mr. Fish Odor is completely innocent. Her reasoning is because he did not seem worried at all when the sinkhole caved in front of the restaurant. He was like, we'll get it fixed eventually. However, if you knew that you had a body buried in there, you would want that covered up as soon as possible. And I think that's a very good point. When she said that, I was like, oh yeah, baby, we're cooking. Until the kids, Louise, Jean, and Tina, they go to Carniopolis. Carniopolis is the place where all of the carnies work. The carnies are, of course, people who work at carnivals. I don't know if you're up to date on your whole carnival lingo, but get good, kid. While there, a big, scary carny traps them in an alleyway, but not to murder them, no. To give them very valuable information. The big scary carny tells them that he saw Cotton Candy Dan and Mr. Fish Odor playing Lucky Ducks and gambling the night that Cotton Candy Dan was murdered. He even saw Fish Odor throwing rubber ducks at Cotton Candy Dan. But the really interesting part is that when the creepy giant carnival guy came back later that night, he didn't see just Mr. Fish Odor playing Lucky Ducks with Cotton Candy Dan. He also saw Mr. Fish Odor's brother playing Lucky Ducks with Cotton Candy Dan. And what's interesting about that is because typically Felix, who is the dumb brother of Mr. Fish Odor, was not allowed to play Lucky Ducks. So it is very suspicious that Felix was playing Lucky Ducks. So at this point, Louise is certain that Felix Fish Odor is the killer. And that's when I was like, oh no, because she goes on to list the exact same motives that I did in the first part of this video, which is very concerning because we still have a lot of time left in this movie. It's way too early to get the big reveal, which means that Felix Fish Odor, the dumb brother, is likely just another major red herring. So once again, I thought I was being super smart and I was just falling for what the movie wanted me to fall for. The kids find out from a police officer that the cops found a cufflink near the skeleton in the sinkhole. And the cufflink was of a banana wearing a graduation cap. So the kids go to Felix's house, which is a tree house, and they search his house for the other cufflink. Because if he has the other cufflink, then that means that he is the killer. They do not find it. But they do follow him to the Wonder Wharf, where they end up in a secret hideout. And in this secret hideout, they find both Mr. Fish Odor and Felix, and they are about to flee the country. And Louise is trying to warn Fish Odor's cousin slash lawyer. She's like, she's trying to get to him so that she can tell him like, yo, it's him. He's framing his brother. And that's where we hit pause. So I don't even know. We don't know if she's even told, if she manages to tell him that she thinks that it's Fish Odor's brother Felix who's the actual killer. But I mean, we can probably assume that she is going to tell him. But what does this mean for us? What it means for us is that we can eliminate Felix from our suspect list. And of course, we can cross off Mr. Fish Odor. And the big problem is I thought that we would have met other characters or suspects at this point of the movie. We are an hour in, but we haven't. And we also haven't learned anything more, like, because remember I had the theory of like, maybe he gambled away the Wonder Wharf to Cotton Candy Dan. That hasn't come up even a little bit, which means that that theory is probably not true, which means I'm really scrambling here. Because let's do a little, I like to call this visual learning. If we know it's not Mr. Fish Odor, and we know it's not Felix, and we know it's not Bob, and we know it's not Linda, and we know it's not Tina, and we know it's not Louise, and we know it's not Jean, that gives us 5 suspects left. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, most of these I don't think are good suspects. God, I hope I don't need those pictures again. I tore them up pretty good. I really shouldn't have done that, actually. It's expensive to get these things printed at Staples. I know what you're thinking. Buy your own printer. Ink is expensive, dude. And I think laser printers only do black and white. But yeah, we haven't met any new characters. I'm pretty sure it's not Teddy. I'm pretty sure it's not this kid, Jimmy Jr. I'm pretty sure it's not the lawyer that we met for 2 seconds when he declined the loan extension. And I'm pretty sure it's not the creepy carny that, again, we only met for one scene because he was giving them information. The only character on this wall who I think is actually a good suspect is the lawyer slash cousin. But what is the motive? We don't have a motive. Because if we use the Cotton Candy Dan dumb brother theory, right? The motive would have been if Felix killed Cotton Candy Dan, framed his brother, Mr. Fish Odor, then he would get the family fortune. I don't know if that really works for the cousin slash lawyer, because if the cousin frames Mr. Fish Odor for the killing of Cotton Candy Dan, then I'm assuming the money will just go to Mr. Fish Odor's brother, Felix. And at this point, I would usually point to the characters I'm talking about, but I was dumb, and I ripped them off the wall. So at this point, I'm beginning to wonder. It's probably this guy, right? But we don't have a good motive. So maybe I'm taking this too seriously. This is an animated movie based, from an animated sitcom that's very silly, goofy. Maybe I should be looking for a sillier answer. But that's the thing about the silly answers is we don't even really have that many silly things to go off of. I guess we could do the lone guy killed him to keep him because he wanted to get a loan for a cotton candy business or something. And so we killed him over that. I don't even know. It doesn't even make any sense. We can't do a thing where it's oh, no one killed him. He accidentally died. He has a bullet in his rib cage. I mean, unless we meet some more characters in the last 40 minutes of this movie, it's kind of got to be the lawyer cousin, right? So I guess that's who I'm locking in for this part. I'm going to lock in the lawyer cousin of Mr. Fish Odor for who I think killed Cotton Candy Dan.
Okay.
Not what I was expecting.
We solved it. We did it. We solved the mystery. I don't feel good about it, guys. I do not feel good about it. We had 2 suspects the entire movie, and one of them was eliminated, so it really just came down to one person. Yeah, I don't know if I can really say we solved it. Maybe if we had locked him in the very first part at the very beginning of the movie, maybe then we could have counted it, but we didn't. So yeah, the lawyer did in fact kill Cotton Candy Dan. He killed him so that he could frame his cousin, Mr. Fish Odor, so that he can receive the family fortune. I know I just went on a rant in the last part about how why would he get the money? Wouldn't it go to Mr. Fish Odor's brother? Well, there is reasoning behind this. There is a bylaw in the family trust that says that the money, the inheritance, the fortune, can only go to a member of the family who is not a felon. And Mr. Fish Odor is the only member of the family, other than the cousin, who has not been charged with a felony, but only because he hasn't been caught. So yeah, by framing his cousin, Mr. Fish Odor, for the death of Cotton Candy Dan, it will make Mr. Fish Odor a felon, which means that the money would default to the lawyer. So pretty good plan. I'm not gonna lie. It's just his plan got ruined in the silliest of ways. He planned, because remember, the original killing of Cotton Candy Dan. I actually don't think I brought this up in the video, but if you've seen the movie, you know. This happened 6 years ago. 6 years, the remains of Cotton Candy Dan have been hiding underground, like the tombs and the catacombs of Paris. When the murder actually happened 6 years ago, his plan was for the body to be found immediately. He took Cotton Candy Dan's body and just kind of half-assedly covered it with dirt, with this pile of dirt that was in the Wonder Wharf. So, his plan was the very next morning, someone would walk in, see a leg sticking out of this pile of dirt, and be like, oh, someone's dead. They would figure out the bullet belonged to Mr. Fish Odor's gun, all of the other reasonings that we framed, that we believed it was him now. What happened was a construction crew came early the next morning, picked up the dirt, including Cotton Candy Dan's body, and used that dirt to fill the ground in front of what would become Bob's Burgers restaurant. So now it's just been years and years, and the lawyer guy had no idea where this body went. He didn't know if it would ever be discovered. And then finally it was. And so, yeah. So did we solve this mystery before the reveal? Yes, we did. But do I think it really counts towards my record? Probably not. It was a really fun movie. I really enjoyed the Bob's Burgers movie of it all. Mystery-wise, very simple mystery. Only 3 major suspects in the whole movie. One was obviously a red herring. The other one, very quickly, about an hour in, we found out was a red herring, and then there only left one person. Not the most complicated mystery we have tried to solve. Yeah, probably the least complicated mystery we've tried to solve. But I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. I had a ton of fun. I know this is a lot shorter than most of my videos, but I just thought it would be fun to do. It was suggested a lot. So, subscribe. I got some fun videos coming up soon. I would like to thank Squarespace once again for sponsoring this video. A very cool and rad thing of them to do. I got links down below for Patreon, my newsletter, merch. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Dope.